simply because the authors explicitly stated that the virus, mousepox virus they created, is a blueprint of smallpox, which could kill all experimental animals and maybe all people infected. So what else could be done, and how it continues? Nobody knows. But again, what worries me is that in 1998, a collaboration of American scientists and the Russian BW program with peaceful purposes described a more virulent more virulent smallpox. And it's so simple as a few substitutions in smallpox genome. And the new outcome cited from the paper is a severe tissue destruction and high virulence in infected animals. So we see that this paper has an obvious biological weapon applications. And it's really, really very simple. One more approach, you've probably got tired of those, but this is the most impressive from my point of view. That is how to combine different viruses in one, and later on, how to create bacteria which contain virus inside. This kind of disease would have absolutely devastating properties. Say the probable agent is a plague microbe with virus like VEE or Ebola inside, so that if we treat against plague, the virus gets released. And then treated people essentially kill themselves with the treatment. So whatever you do, it's lethal. And that's because antibiotic treatment may easily release virus from bacteria. One more example, and that's not only a hint, but it's explicitly targeted publication which described how anthrax, which is resistant to existing American vaccine, could be designed. And this time, it's been noticed and produced a lot of trouble, although the Russians this time said, oh, don't worry very much, it's just research. We didn't have any intention to scare you, because the agent is not stable, it's not a weapon at all, just kind of exercise, what can be done for peaceful purposes. But in response, the United States requested a strain from Russians to check if it's so simple, and so innocuous. And it's never been actually, the strain has never been sent for different reasons, for postal regulations and so on. So the question is, why did it happen? Was it a simple matter of, what was it? I don't know how to define this condition, but what Russians inspected was a meticulous, scrupulous, everyday intelligence effort to reveal the existence of the program. And the countermeasures were so sophisticated that even, basketball fields were built next to research labs to convince that the basketball field and research lab is a kind of, inhabited, hostel with many people playing games around and so that from satellite intelligence data there would be no kind of doubt that it was just something innocuous. As I said, there were publications, dual-purpose research, special people trained, to provide special kind of data for foreigners, and so on and so on. Some people were sent abroad to describe so-called open legend. So it was a massive effort, but all for nothing, because nobody cared. Look at this simple test. 2,000 people produced one paper in 1984. Very nice scientific institute. And then when everything collapsed, the Soviet Union collapsed, 30-something papers have been published in the same year, reflecting that a lot of scientific data had been accumulated and were just released out. But then you see a trend, then they exhaust it, or maybe they don't publish anymore. We don't know. But that's kind of troublesome. Who else is involved? We don't know who else is involved. We know that more than 17 countries possess biological weapons, and the research in these directions could be done in any of them because it does not require very sophisticated equipment, and it does require some knowledge, but it could be acquired. We know that some people approached Russians, and some Russians traveled to Middle East and other countries, including North Korea, on several occasions. I found myself that some of the constructs made in my department ended up in Cuba as a gift from Brezhnev to Fidel Castro. It was interesting to know. But nobody cared, again, nobody asked my permit, although I keep some patents on this. And a lot of things like this happened in the Soviet Union. It reminded me the story with vaccination, so that the whole population of the Soviet Union had been vaccinated against botulinum toxin, and nobody knew about it because the vaccine had been mixed with polio vaccine. So everybody had been vaccinated against polio, but received another portion to be protected against botulinum toxin. What to do to stay protected? That's a difficult question, and we see that offense is much more aggressive than defense in this case. So it has to be changed. There should be a way around it, and we know that a lot of bioweapons could result from innocuous research. So some people suggest, and I agree with them, that a new bioethics should result from legitimate research. And what we need to overcome reluctance to talk about biological weapons. Every scientist doing research in this field has to realize what could be a consequence of a particular research. And since those specific sensitive areas will be defined, research programs are necessary. Specific research programs to address the potential threat of new biological agents. So here we have happy end. Soviet Biological Facility says you Happy New Year and happy